Welcome to PlayRust Public Radio, bringing you news in old-school journalistic fashion, where selling ad space is key and facts are a luxury.
PRPR is broadcast to a headset on you from a trailer park in the PlayRust Public server, the official Rust Reddit server. While we are devout worshippers of the World Star here at PRPR, we still hold dear the principles of religious freedom. We're also corporate shills, so today's sponsor is the Church of Adminology over on the Rust Faction server.
The Church of Adminology accepts that there must be some higher power involved in the universe, and that each and every one of us is tied to our own personal demigod. Such things as airdrops and the world resetting would not be possible were there not some almighty beings in the clouds watching down upon us.
The Church of Adminology is seeking brave and faithful young minds to join their side. Get in touch with your personal demigod today. So Bugs over at Rustified has been talking to some of the developers and getting a little bit of a sneak peek into some upcoming changes that are coming soon. He also got filled in on some of the more iconic changes that are about to happen, such as the King of the Hill or Koth Island. The first of these discussions he's had is the changes to the shooting mechanics.
Wonderful. He's going to be they are going to be implementing what they're calling lazy aim, which, completely aside from the actual point, drives me up a fucking wall. It's not lazy aim, it's called the dead zone. That's what it was called in DayZ, the inaugural game of this genre that I played, and that's what I'm sticking to.
What exactly is the mechanic?
Basically, in most shooters, when you move your gun, aim your gun, look around, the entire screen and your field of vision moves along with the gun. Your gun always being pointed more or less at the center of the screen. Well, with lazy aim, or dead zone as any normal people are going to call it, that is no longer the case. It'll probably be an adjustable option, but it means that you can be looking in one direction, your field of view will stay the same, but your gun will actually move around inside of that field of view. So you can look at a person and then slightly adjust your aim without moving your entire cone of vision. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but how would that work? Is it like, does your aim actually shift with your gun?
It does.
So you have basically a moving crosshair at that point.
Exactly. You're no longer aiming directly center of your screen. It'll be moving, basically hovering around the center of the screen to adjust your aim. Okay.
Well, they mention it's a little too lazy right now.
I feel that.
It's even applied when you're aiming down sights, which is not intentional.
Oh.
So.
Okay, you know what? Now that you mentioned, before when you said this, I didn't remember it being in Legacy. I was like, I didn't have that many guns in Legacy because I was a really bad player, admittedly, but I never remembered it doing that. But now that you mention it, I do remember it being on the hip fire and not on the aim down the sights.
I don't remember because I kind of just always went around with grenades.
With grenades. Not a gun person, more of a blowing things up
Yeah, I was
person.
definitely more of the grenade guy. I was also usually the one running the C4 up to the door because I had such terrible frame rate. That was all I was good for, is going up to the door and C4ing it while the other guys had my back.
You were basically explosion fodder. The guy that could run up to something and get blown up, and, it's alright. He only had like 5 frames a second.
Yeah, I would usually, they would like duck behind cover and provide covering fire while I ran with like 2 C4 up to the door and like plunk plunk and then try to get back, otherwise I'd die and spawn in the sleeping bag in the bush.
Godspeed, Drostin.
Which, as a side note, reminds me of my favorite Rust video I've ever seen. It was back in Legacy. I've never been able to find it. If anybody can find it, please send me a link to it. You'll get, I don't know, if we ever do a giveaway, you win the first time. I don't know.
We did a giveaway, but we're going to ignore that and say that the first one will be yours.
The next one will be yours. Anyway, what this guy did, this guy was fucking chasing him and shooting him, and he runs behind a fucking tree. Throws his stuff down, places a sleeping bag, runs out from behind the tree and around the rock that he was hiding behind, and gets gunned down by this guy. He respawns, grabs all his stuff, equips his pipe shotgun, runs around the other end of the tree while the guy is looting him, and shoots him in the back of the fucking head.
I love it. Trickery at its finest.
Best play ever.
My favorite Rust video, it was also back in Legacy days. It was, oh man, what was his name? Pause Unpause. They would play the Tuna Bandits, but like around episode 42 or something of their series, they decide to basically make a slave house. For whatever reason, they called new people Jimmies and refused to acknowledge anybody's name. And so they just like go on this fucking hilarious adventure, starting the slave house right beside a rad town with like, at maximum, they had like 15 to 20 Jimmies up, like living directly underneath them, just like for whatever reason obeying their orders. None of them tried to rebel, but there was this constant tension between them. Like at any moment they could just change their mind and fucking wreck them. And it was just hilarious, the shit they get into and how stressed out they got, like managing 15 players at once.
That's fucking awesome.
It was like a lot like with OTP&M. That's the long con, you know. They've had this thing going for like weeks. They all have set jobs. This was impromptu. They decided, why are we gathering resources? We need people to gather resources for us. And like 3 guys run by right when they say that, and they go and grab them and slave them immediately. And like they listen, they just do it. It's great. That's definitely worth a watch. It's Pause Unpause on YouTube, like episode 42. Of the Tuna Bandits.
That's too good.
Yeah.
Man. I guess we'll move on to the other part of the shooting mechanics that's changed, is they claim to have unfuckered the hitbox detection finally. So before, if you shot someone in a hand, it would do very low damage. If you shot someone in the face, it would do very high damage. However, depending on your animation, your hand might get in the way of a headshot. So your hand takes 5 damage, completely blocking the bullet from hitting you. What wound up happening is if you aim center mass, you're not going... You wound up not doing as much damage because you'd mainly be hitting arms and hands, as opposed to, you know, the vital thing with all the hearts and the livers and the kidneys and shit. Now what happens is bullets will actually pass through things that they hit in terms of like body damage. So let's say your hand is in front of your face, right? The bullet will first hit your hand doing 5 damage, and then it will hit your face, hitting whatever headshot damage is minus the 5 damage that the hand took, or a certain percent. It'll reduce it by a certain percent. You'll still more than likely die, but you might get lucky and barely live.
Right. I like it. So does this mean that there's going to be instances of shooting 2 heads with 1 bullet, like 2 guys having a conversation, you walk up behind them with a bolt action and just get the both of them?
You pull a fucking Deadpool and do a fucking tornado spin out of a car and shoot 3 people in the face?
I don't know about that. I mean, if they want to implement that feature, I'd be down. But
yeah,
I'm talking like... bullet penetration, you know, go through one head, move through some air, go through another head. I kind of hope so. That'd be fun.
Reduce the, I'll say velocity of the round. It reduces the amount of damage the round does to connecting areas by a large amount. So you can't like shoot through the back of their head and then hit their arm and hand on the way out kind of thing. Without it. It'll still do extra damage.
I see.
It just won't do a lot extra. Because you hit the most vital organ, you know, it's kind of pointless at that point.
The brain. Yeah.
Well,
all right, that makes sense.
I was talking about the mouth being the most important part of us.
I mean, for us, yeah, because we don't have eyes or ears. We're just mouths speaking into microphones. But for regular people, the brain is pretty crucial to normal operation.
Here at PlayRust Public Radio, we don't have eyes or ears or noses. We just have mouths. We communicate by holding hands.
Whatever. Lies and slander, all of it. But no, I'm excited for it. Both of these things, actually, they're going to be good. The lazy aim, I'm going to enjoy just because. When you first told me it, I didn't realize what they were re-implementing. And I was kind of worried because I hated it, the dead zone aiming. Like in DayZ, I think, was the first time I experienced it. And I despised it. I don't know. I would much rather the entire screen move. Maybe because I'm just used to it or something, but whatever. It'll be good. I'm excited for that. The hitbox detection, I mean, can't complain about that.
Look, man, if you want realistic shooter stuff, go to CSGO. Don't go to Rust.
Yeah.
A realistic shooter. I've started to like CSGO actually after watching some things about it. I still won't play it.
I quit the show. Goodbye, everybody.
Look, it's a good game. I just don't like the people that play it. I have a best friend who, when he sits down and plays CSGO, he goes from being my best friend to someone I want to hit in the back of the head with a fucking baseball bat. Like, I'll try to talk to him, like, between rounds even. He's like, shut up, I'm playing CSGO, man. This is a real serious game. This is fucking competitive, dude. Like, wow, dude.
I don't know, man. If I have a friend who I really like who becomes, like, a huge dick when he's on, I don't know, heroin, you know what I'm going to start to dislike? Heroin.
I love how that's what will make you dislike heroin. Like, you're okay with heroin now, but because none of your friends have done heroin and become assholes on it...
You're putting words in my mouth. I didn't say that.
I'm merely interpreting the words that you put out of your mouth.
Can we fucking move on? Heroin is not in the document, alright? This was not planned as a discussion topic.
True. I guess we'll move on to the more minor-ish news stuff, depending on how one or two of these turns out. The first one, really the bigger of the minor news, is decay changes are inbound. According to Bugs over at Rustified, he talked to one of the devs, and there aren't a whole lot of details, but they want to make it closer in line to Legacy. I'm hoping this doesn't mean I have to go around smacking fucking everything to repair it, because that would really piss me off.
Remind me what the decay was like in Legacy, because
in Legacy, everything would decay. Everything.
Everything, walls included.
Everything. The whole structure.
Okay. That would be terrible.
But in Legacy, when you opened your doors, it would refresh the decay timer. So all you had to do is run through a door in your house, and it would refresh the whole building.
Right. Instead of now where it just decays.
I would like to see it stay the way it is, with the exception of being able to repair foundations on that structure from a fucking, what's it called? A tool cupboard that's attached to that foundation's structure.
How exactly would you imagine that working?
I imagine the tool cupboard would have like a list of like it would just have a number of stone required to fully repair all damaged foundations.
I can get behind that. We talked about it earlier, and I was kind of iffy about it, but now that I've, I guess, had a good meal and I'm less cranky, that seems like a good idea. I like that, because you're right. You made a good point earlier. You said that sometimes there are foundations that you just can't get to.
Yeah.
Like people do these crazy extreme builds. We are unfamiliar with that because we are more than content with our little 2x2s all over the world. But apparently people build stuff where you can't get to all the foundations, and that would solve that problem. Make it less tedious.
Yeah, the only issue I would see with the suggestion I just put forward is what happens during a raid. How fast can you repair the foundations? that could be mitigated, of course, by repairing all foundations at an even rate. So you spend the same amount of time smacking your tool cupboard to repair it as you would walking around to all the foundations in turn. So if someone comes and they rocket your foundation, you're furiously hitting your tool cupboard, you might be able to like absorb one more rocket, but you're not going to out repair a rocket, you know?
Yeah, that's good. I like that. That makes sense. Because I hadn't thought about that, the rating aspect, how that would play into it. I don't know.
They are also reducing a lot of the low-tier crafting times. Some items that took 2 minutes now take 1. Some that took 1 minute now take 30 seconds. So you're not going to have to sit around and just, like, jam a thumb up your ass for entertainment while you wait to craft your first fucking stone tool.
I like this. I like it a lot. It always seemed kind of excessive to me. Minute and a half, 2 minutes for a stone, what is it? Stone hatchet. There we go. Like, the first tool that anyone ever needs to build is a stone hatchet, and you have to wait like 2 minutes for it. And an 8K is like 3 minutes.
I think an AK takes just as long to make.
Yeah. No, I think an AK is like 3 minutes. But that's higher tier.
You know, that's at a higher tier.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. Yeah, and that's fine. Like, that's fine. But I'm just saying, the stone hatchet was like very close to the AK in the amount of time it took to make it. I didn't realize it till they talked about reducing it. But man, that was kind of silly.
And oh my god, fucking ladders.
Oh, I forgot that was low tier.
They're just a pain in the ass to build.
No, 3 minutes. And it's like a leftover from when they first implemented ladders is like the rating tool, and you had to like build ladder proof, and they're trying to nerf ladders. That's the only reason it ever even took 3 minutes to make them.
Yeah, we need a better anti-ladder solution than just nerfing ladders. Really, you should have to lean them onto a structure. Because when do you ever see a ladder just fucking glue itself to the wall?
You're right.
Never.
I think that makes the most sense. Maybe make them a little bit taller to where they could scale an external wall, but not be able to stack them up shit. Though that would ruin our current radio tower build. Gotta be said.
Someone suggested something about that, actually.
What?
Metal ladders. They're permanent and attach themselves to a wall.
By
bolting in.
I like that.
As opposed to wood, which just kind of crazy glues itself to the wall and you never get it off.
Yeah, I like that. And maybe the metal ladder wouldn't be placed unless you have building privilege.
Who knows? That's a mechanic for the devs to decide. That could go either way.
That's for smart people to figure out.
Yeah.
It's a little bit beyond our scope of shit.
Anyway, moving on, we have the next minor thing is new sound effects for Gibbs. You know when you break something apart and it like crumples into pieces?
Oh, that noise, the little noises.
Yeah. The dev said it no longer sounds like you're breaking a cardboard box of a house. Add some weight to the sound. Because, you know, when you broke a block, for example, it will go like...
Right.
Now I guess it has some kind of like weightiness to it. I don't know. Sound design, brah.
Well, that's cool. I'm all about some sound design. I love good sound.
Another minor one was, it was a gear you used too. Shit, I don't know. The bean can grenade is getting a better sound. It sounds like it sounds more powerful.
Really?
Not that
more powerful than it actually is?
Probably. Really, it should just
it's so goofy. I love the fucking bean. I've never used it in combat. It's just always for throwing at friends and stuff.
I would like it to sound like a really loud pop gun, or I don't know, like whatever like a metal can exploding would sound like. It wouldn't sound that powerful.
Yeah, I've got a noise going through my head that I want it to sound like, and it's what you said, more along the lines of a tin can just being like blown up from the inside, which I must have heard at some point in my life because I'm hearing it in my head right now.
It's like the sound
an
M80 makes. or whatever those are called. Those big firecrackers.
See, I don't know. That's just a regular explosion. There's like a metal element to it almost. I don't know, dude. Describing sounds is very hard.
Yeah, especially when we have our mouths as tools, and nobody wants to hear that shit.
Yeah, nah. We'll chalk it up to we'll see.
Yep.
Anyways, anything else? Anything else good for us?
I was waiting for you to. I was waiting for you to lead
oh,
into the next
oh,
one.
are you letting me segue this time?
Yeah.
Wow, the lowly intern gets the segue. Here we go.
So
the
anyway,
next big thing.
No,
Oh, fuck you.
Go on.
No, a big thing that they're working on is Koth Island. That is King of the Hill Island. It was mentioned somewhere. What was that? Twitter? Probably. The Rust updates Twitter?
Yes.
Doesn't really matter. It was mentioned somewhere official that they're making Koth Island, the King of the Hill Island. It's a PvP island, 1 kilometer in size. The interesting things about it is building is disabled. You're not going to be able to build anything. There's going to be a lot of loot, obviously PvP-oriented loot, and it's tiered based on the location. There's a... Is it you spawn in the north? Is that correct? Like, so everyone spawns in the north?
What happens is
okay.
you spawn up on the northern shore, and the general gist of it is you make your way south, which I guess is up a hill of some sort, like maybe a mountain, right? And in the far south is our beloved world star. Anyway, you make your way there, and that's, I guess, where like the highest tier of loot is gonna be. So the idea is, I guess, you fight your way up there and try to hold it, like King of the Hill, you know?
Oh, hey, wow, hey, that's the name of the island.
You know what's funny is when I saw Koth Island, I was like, oh, new map, I wonder what it's gonna be like.
Yeah, no, I saw, because all it said was Koth, Koth Island. I didn't realize that. I didn't know that was an acronym. We have fucking Happus Island for whatever reason. That's a weird name. Koth is just
my microphone is surrounded by a cardboard box. Do you really think I know things?
I know. Look at us. Do we even look professional?
We live naked in a shit shack in the woods.
So, you put in you read up more on this than I did. One of your notes is that the map is symmetrical. Does that mean there are 2 spawn points?
I think my guess is that the mountain, the globe might actually be in the center of the island, and we just spawn in the north. But the map itself is symmetrical for potential team play down the line. My guess is 4 teams starting on each 4 cardinal directions of the island, making their way to the middle for a massive showdown, as opposed to fighting their way there. That's my guess, and I think that would be pretty cool if it worked out that way.
That would make sense. That sounds fucking awesome. Holy shit. Now, I have to wonder what the win conditions are. Is there like the Battlefield games where there's a set number of reinforcements or respawns that you can use, or is it like time-based mode where whoever holds the hill for the longest time, or reaches holds it for a total of 5 minutes first wins, or something like that? I'm curious what the win conditions will be. My guess is the map itself will be a self-functioning entity. It uses existing game mechanics such as setting spawn areas, building privilege blocked, loot tables and whatnot. So it automatically structures itself as a PvP map using existing mechanics. However, I'm sure we'll see that a King of the Hill game type built around it, much like the Battle Royale server, and that's possible with minimal modding at this point. So maybe the intoxicated servers will have either that become the new Battle Royale, or have their own separate King of the Hill server, which I'm sure will be very popular. My other question was, are we going to see new structures? Like, are we going to see these dungeon structures be added there too? The dungeon
subfolder we found is just a way of organizing pre-built structures. So they're working on adding actual structures to the world gen that's not bought from the, Unity market.
Yeah, stuff they better than just regular old Unity placeholders. I hope so, because I'm getting kind of excited. All these little tweets about cool sounding new things. Like there was one I think that came out maybe today. Tweet said something about a water tower and
saw
all
that
kinds of other stuff. Yeah. It sounds so cool, all the stuff that they're gray boxing, and it's always under the dungeon thing. I would imagine, it'd have to be, this can't just be coincidence that they're building an entire building blocked PvP island and also teasing new gray boxes of shit. It's going to be cool. I definitely think you're right. There's going to be new structures on there. Maybe some team play, maybe not team play. Who really fucking cares? It's going to be fun either way. That's about all we have for national news. We're going to move on now to local news. Back home at our beloved PlayRust Public server, it's getting to the end of the wipe cycle, which means that very, very soon, the pre-wipe madness is going to be taking people over. So we here at PRPR thought we would take the opportunity to pause, take a moment for reflection, and look back at everything that has happened this era.
Over the last couple of weeks, we have seen the reformation of one of PlayRust Public's oldest religious institutions, the heretical Church of Cage. The Church of Cage worships Nicolas Cage as the god he truly is. I'm more prone to believing that he is a vampire, seeing as how he was in the American Civil War. That's photographed.
Preach.
And everybody knows the World Star is the one true god.
Preach.
But it is nice to see some of the older faces of PlayRust Public rising up in these new times of official and community division. Speaking of which, after the next wipe, the official and the community Reddit servers will split into their own distinct timelines, each having their own worlds, their own maps, and really probably their own cultures. So we'll keep you posted on both the PlayRust Public servers that are non-modded, though after this wipe cycle we may be playing on the modded server for maybe a little bit of a break, but mainly just because it looks like a lot of fucking fun.
Definitely. Also, while you're there, keep an eye out for the large PRPR sign. You really don't have to keep an eye out because
it's there.
It's fucking huge and it's lit and it's bright.
Oh my god, Ruigi did such a great job on that sign.
It will guide you throughout the night. It's beautiful. I love it. I want to figure out exactly how he did it and do it on every server we ever go to.
We just need scaffolding, really.
Ooh, yeah, scaffolding would be nice. I love that there's a mod actually in Minecraft that includes scaffolding, and I love how they did it.
Which is stupid because, like, I just need dirt, but as an
yeah, I mean, it works. Nice. It works. No, it's not permanent. It's literally a building block, like you for the purpose of building up high. But how it works is you get a stack of it, of course, and you right-click on the ground. But if you continue to right-click in that same spot, it stacks it straight up. Like it adds blocks on top of it continuously.
Oh, really?
And then you can climb up the side. Like every side is a ladder. And then you can build it horizontally, like I think a maximum of 3 before it collapses. But very cool. Anyways, that won't be in Rust anytime soon. I'm not hoping for it. That's merely making shit up. Another big thing in our local history for this era was a big wipe that actually just happened a few days ago. It was from a crew including, but not limited to, Toon, Apex, Poor Planning, I guess, and some other fellas. There was a larger group. Not all of them were named to me, but they raided our favorite medical professionals, the doctors. They really, it seemed like a raid in just for good fun. They weren't trying to make a statement or be rude to anybody. They just wanted to have a bit of fun, and they saw The only people they were really competing with was the health institution up in the Northeast. So they rolled on them. I was told
slightly wrong in that regard.
What?
The way the raid started.
Oh, well, correct me.
The Toon had told me that they had spotted a sizable crew of doctors near their base. So the doctors had found their base in a non-disclosed location, and they had established that the doctors are a very large group and they raid a lot. It's only a matter of time before the doctors hit them. So they loaded up on a bunch of rockets, they gathered together what they could, and just said, fuck it, we'll raid them first.
So I was told directly from Toon himself that they took about 40 C4 and 40 rockets and like 9 guys and just blew up as much as they could over there. They went over there, blew up the wall, got into what they thought was the loot room. He said it was a blast. While they were there was no hard feelings. It wasn't a hostile takeover or anything like that. They actually managed to use the smoke rockets to neutralize their sniper tower, which I just think is fucking fantastic. I haven't seen strategies like that in Rust in a long time, but they said it was a blast. They didn't really get too much from it, but they had an absolute blast doing the thing, and a good time was had by all.
When they were in the process of the raid, they realized they didn't have enough C4 to find the loot room. They could have locked into it, but there was this big sign on top of their base. So they blasted their way to the top of their base and vandalized the doctor sign by tearing it down.
We may not get your stuff, but we're gonna fuck up your
Exactly.
flag. I love it. I love this kind of stuff. This is a side note, but I love things like this, where people are doing obviously PvP and very admittedly intense PvP, blowing up bases and stealing shit and just bullets and gunpowder and explosions and everything, but they're not hateful about it or immature about it. They realize it's just part of the game, and it's what makes the game fun. I love people like this that can PvP without being terrible.
I also like to see raids that aren't just about annihilating other clans. Yeah, those are sometimes necessary. Sometimes you have to control an area. Sometimes you want to control your territory. You don't want to have too many people living too close to you. That's understandable. Protect what you can protect kind of thing. But seeing raids against an equally matched opponent where it isn't just about annihilation. Like, you go there, you shoot some guns, you do a smash and grab, you take stuff out of their quarries and shit like that. Like small scale raids, like actual raids, those are fun.
I prefer to call it being Batman.
Batman-ing the no, that's when you go up there and you steal from them and take pot shots without them ever knowing where you are.
I love doing that, creeping. There was one, I think it was when we had the map for like 3 days and then it got wiped because of the blueprint exploit or something along the lines of that.
Yeah.
I had this little hidey hole in the rock formation, tiny little thing, barely enough room, but I managed to get like 2 crates and 2 furnaces in there and wall it up, stone it in, and it was perfect. A little bat cave in there, and there was this base that was being built across the way. And every single night, I even had a uniform I put on, like specifically for night. I would put on the uniform and go out there and wait for them to start building and just creep on them and shoot them with arrows. And they never found me. They got legitimately scared, like talking to each other. I loved it. That was a fucking blast.
Didn't you go hang out with them during the day?
Yeah. During the day, they of course never knew it was me because they never killed me, and it was dark, so I never walked up to them and talked or anything. But the next day, I went to the satellite, not in my Batman costume, of course, and saw the guy and got into a bow fight with him, which was pretty epic, actually. I got it on tape. But after that, it was such a good fight that I was like, I got him down somehow, and I was like, I can't kill this guy. So I revived him, and we just hung out for a long time. And I knew it was the guy that I had been shooting in the middle of the night. And throughout our hangout session, he actually started telling me about myself. He was like, Some motherfucker in the middle of the night has been stalking us and will just shoot us with arrows without showing himself, and we don't know where he's at. I'm like, oh man, that's real shitty. I don't know who would do that. So if you're listening to this, pal, I'm sorry. I come clean.
Oh man.
It was Drostin.
Oh, I actually was just kind of trolling, like, not, I wasn't trolling, I was like sneaking up on this house in the middle of the night since I had nothing else to do because it was dark. I was just knocking on their door all night long until they finally killed me, and come to find out it was the dudes you were fucking with.
How'd you know? How'd you know it was him?
You told me. I told you their name, and you're like, oh, that's the dude I was fucking with.
Yeah.
That's the dude I was Batmaning.
Wonderful. We have similar interests in stalking victims. Anyways, moving on. Drostin, you got a first-hand tour of OTP&M, didn't you?
Yes, I did, and their facilities are huge.
How huge?
Fucking huge.
Really?
So goddamn big. Just
that
fucking
big?
Wow big. Like, my computer admittedly is a potato. It doesn't run that great, but that plays straight shit on my computer.
Fun PRPR trivia. Drostin is right now talking into a tin can tied to a string tied to his potato.
Hey, that string is actually a copper wire just jammed into the potato and wrapped around the tin can.
Oh, you've upgraded since last week.
Yeah. I went out on a scrap hunting job with my brother.
Right.
We actually pulled the copper wire like straight out of someone's house and just drove off. Dude, that shit actually happens.
That's very resourceful for you.
That shit like happened to my neighbor in Virginia.
Oh, I know. Copper thieves. They're fucking ridiculous.
It's terrible. And, like, you just bricked a house. like, you straight up brick a house to get this. Like, there's a big-ass copper wire that goes through every single house. I probably shouldn't be telling people this because they don't get ideas, even though it's a fucking felony. Like,
it's like the string coming off of a sweater. You pull it long enough, and you no longer have a sweater.
Yeah, pretty much. Except you just pulled the main copper wire out of a house, and it's like this thick-ass thing that, wow, it fetches money, but, like,
oh my god,
scrap sites know about this, so they report you to the police.
Yeah, I love it. Anyways, OTP&M, tell me about it.
Yes. So their facilities encompass, I would say, a good solid 3 maybe square kilometers. Like, I'd say a good, like, 1.5 kilometer from, on each square side, which makes it 3 square kilometers. They got the works. They got quarries and oil derricks galore in the desert. Like, it's half in the desert, half not in the desert, and it is a beautiful facility. It looks like a fucking castle from the distance. And
did you, sorry, continue. I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's amazing. They have break rooms for their employees. They have dormitories, which they're upgrading to accommodate more people. It's wonderful. Spoiler alert, they're also a sponsor. They offer 401k matching depending on what currency you choose. They have various currencies from wood to stone to whatever. Whatever is the current go-to currency is matched in their 401k. They have blueprint. I'm not even fucking around.
Radio hosts, everybody.
They have
Oh man!
It's the word that comes after that's tripping.
Let me do it for you.
Blueprint.
There we go.
Blueprint learning efforts or benefits, whatever. Like they give you blueprints to learn.
BPs.
They give you BPs to learn. Depending on how trustworthy you are, they give you a revolver for free, free room and board, free food. Pretty much everything is provided for, and they have jobs in the way of forestry and mining. They even pay people to go around maintaining all the foundations, just running around hammering things all day. Like they got benefits such as vacation, paid vacation time, sick days, pensions. all sorts of stuff.
Do they have a need for a underappreciated radio host intern?
They are actually dedicating one of their old rooms as an office space to us. Someone got a promotion, and that place is now vacant.
I was talking about me, not you. Just me. I might.
Well,
This is my 2 weeks. I'm putting in my 2 weeks.
Oh, fuck you. You can't.
I haven't had a vacation in years. I don't even know what that word means, but it sounds great. I don't get paid. I've been an intern for ever since I started here.
Since the second episode?
It's been like 2 years since the second episode. I just don't feel appreciated. I quit. I'm off to OTP&M.
Bye.
Bye. No, that sounds cool. What's their security like? How do they guard a facility so huge?
I was sworn to secrecy on some of their practices.
Okay.
They do have security personnel. Aside from that, I don't really know what I'm at liberty to disclose, but if you were to try to break in there and steal some shit, you wouldn't be having a good day.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's enough. I think you've said enough. We don't want to upset our conglomerate sponsor for fear of complete and total eradication.
No. And to quote Mr. Rogers, the owner or primary interest holder in OTP&M, to quote him directly, back when he ran Rogerstown, he took over the airfield from the most notorious bandits on the server, and his statement that he provided to us was, "Those who would mistake my kindness for a weakness will soon find out that I am neither." So,
Cue scary music and slow motion action scene.
And I believe it. He's a nice guy, but he's not weak.
We got attacked by Rogers once. I do not want to get attacked by Rogers twice.
Back the last wipe cycle, actually, we were huddled up in a shit shack that we stole, and this guy comes around, and we're shooting at each other for a little while. Come to find out it's Rogers. Then we start shooting at each other some more for fun, because it's Rust.
Well, mostly us getting shot by Rogers, but
yeah, I was getting doo-doo frame rate back in that update.
I was getting good frame rate, and I was still getting destroyed.
I'm not blaming the frame rate. I was just commenting.
Yeah, no, it's gotten a little better since then. So
I guess we'll take a moment to just give a brief overview of the history as far as we know of this update. Early on in the update, the doctors had rose to power in the north, very quickly securing and then walling off a rad town in the southern end, in the southeastern end of the winter biome.
Which was new. That had never been done before. And I, for one, completely support walling off monuments.
I'm completely okay with it. And anybody,
100%
anybody that says it's dumb or it's trolly, just build 2 fucking ladders. You can go in and then out.
Anyone who says that it may not be ethical or something like that, and anyone who says that on their radio show is wrong. We would never say that, and we never have said that.
Moving on. While this was going on, we were busy worshiping the World Star like good apostles, and
World Star.
While the Dr. Clan was busy walling off that rad town, the airfield was occupied by a roaming pack of gorillas. And do you want to quote them again, or just leave that for the other episode?
Yeah, hold on. Let me find the paper that had their quote on it. Here it is. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that was quite the day when I got that quote from them. I was running from my life. I asked them for an interview, and they banged the ground with their fists and AKs and then ran at me, screaming that quote at me. And then I was killed.
See, you got off lucky. They shot me in the leg, knocking me down. I tried explaining to them my role as a neutral reporter on a radio station, and they promptly grunted and odd as they took turns. What would the term be? Bean dipping? No, teabagging me, I did believe is the term. They took turns. They hopped over my face and crouched and pressed their naked balls against my forehead in turn. Before letting me die.
Brutal. A brutal group. I'm glad to see them gone.
They were more than likely chased out by the growing Doctor Clan, who the next day or two had proceeded to wall off our precious World Star and had set their eyes upon the airfield. Shortly...
Never did.
Unfortunately. I think their growth had slowed at this point. Who knows why? Maybe they ran out of fucking stone. Maybe the server collider limit got reached. Who knows?
It could spread them thin, too, having 3 major monuments spread across a fairly sizable piece of land with only a set number of people. Could spread their numbers
like
thin.
The Roman army, they grew too big. And then killed everything in sight.
Yeah.
Shortly after the doctors appeared to have tapered off, we saw the re-establishment of the Church of Cage, ran by Merp, I believe. And
Merp.
There's another guy in it.
I don't remember his name.
I can't remember his name either.
It's not important.
Nope. And shortly after that, there was the strike team that Toons group had dispatched against the doctors, which probably didn't hurt him too much, but was definitely a damn interesting fight.
Right. Oh, and important note, in between the reestablishment of the Church of Cage and that little event that you were just talking about, the PRPR Tower began construction.
Yes, for once, this horribly poorly ran radio station got its shit together.
For once.
And
it's the only time it's ever going to happen, probably.
And across this whole wipe cycle, OTPNM was founded and rapidly expanded into a mom-and-pop militia, an economic mom-and-pop militia, I would say.
That sounds about right.
Very, very efficiently ran, family business. Just absolutely beautiful family business conglomerate.
Who we support completely.
We support local businesses.
Yes. And anyone with more guns than us.
That is an important distinction as well.
Very important.
There were a lot of going-ons on the server this past wipe cycle, and it has been a very interesting ride so far.
But there's also no way that we covered everything. So if we missed something that you think is worth talking about on the show, send either of us a message, either on Steam or on Reddit or maybe carrier pigeon. We accept all forms of mail.
YouTube works as well.
YouTube
but
also.
Do not
that
send
works.
us letters.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah. Fuck letters. Who do you think we are? We're a radio station. We don't believe in paper. It's against my religion. But that brings us to local news from another server. This is a new thing we're doing. We're going out to the Rust Factions server to cover the local goings-on there. We find it a very interesting server. There's always something going on. We think it'd be a cool thing to bring to you guys, to share with you. So, Jostin, give us the deal.
Rust Factions is a very complex server. There's a lot of factions, there's a lot of political atmosphere, there's a lot to cover, and there's no way we can possibly cover it in the roundabout hour that we have on the show. I do want to do a full feature on the server and explain, various factions and how they align, how they fight each other, and give people a clearer picture. But for now, we're just going into some local news that is going on, kind of as we speak, actually. The biggest one being the War Clan has begun taking large amounts of territory. As of this recording, just from what I've been able to read with my limited knowledge of what letters look like, they have declared at least 4 wars in the last 2 days, all of which they appear to have stomped and taken territory from. They currently control almost the entire eastern third of the map, from the northeast coast down to the southeast coast. They've annexed massive amounts of land. It is a truly impressive war effort.
Ooh, Josh, I'm sorry to interrupt, but a carrier pigeon has just flown through our window. I didn't actually think anyone would do that, but it's labeled from the War Boys. They've brought us a message.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, it's...
Would you like to read it?
Yeah, the message reads as follows. War stands for War Boys. We live for fuel, love our V8s, and die for Valhalla, where we will live again. We spit bullets, chew through stone, and drive the Fury Road. Our motto is we live, we die, we live again. Drive on towards Valhalla. They sound like a very eccentric group of fellas. I would not mind taking them out for a pint.
I bet they would be a blast to drink with.
Definitely. I would not let them drive me, though. I'm getting bad vibes from their driving skills. I have a hunch they never did driver's ed.
Who needs driver's ed when you have a gas pedal?
Who needs a brake when you have a gas pedal? Wow, so they're just kind of steamrolling the entire island, it sounds like.
Yes. According to some other people, it seems to be a recurring trend towards the end of as the Church of Admonology puts it, the end of, I don't know, I guess a wipe, so whatever, end of a wipe cycle.
Yeah.
It seems to happen at the end of a wipe cycle, and it seems to create a lot of interesting dynamics on the server. Most of the people seem pretty okay with it. It is the last week after all, but that's definitely an impressive war effort nonetheless.
Absolutely. And if it's worth noting for those who are uninitiated to Factions server that there's a constantly updated map on their subreddit with the Factions territory, and I haven't looked at it myself, but I imagine there is a blob with war written on it that is consistently growing and taking up more and more of the map.
Yeah.
Very cool though. Is there anything else cool going on over in Factions?
Yes, there is. Let's see. The town of Prim has declared its independence. They are forming the Democratic People's Republic of Nova Prim, the DPRNP. They have declared independence from the New California Republic, and it seems to have caused quite a bit of tension between them and the NCR. The NCR does not appear to take kindly to the DPRNP's. They don't take kindly to their declaration of freedom, per se. So, who knows?
That could end very interestingly. I've heard from a reliable source, Shaky Moo Moo, that I'm not supposed to trust the NCR if I ever visit their land.
But we are a neutral radio station, so we trust everybody.
I don't know. Ever since the gorilla thing, I don't really put much faith in that.
Gorillas.
You just like the nuts in your face.
Okay, so this is another big one. But it's a bit above my understanding, so I'll try my best to get around it. John Strange, the executive officer of the Northern Congress, which is a basically a UN of some of the northern states. He is stepping down from his position in a phased out kind of retirement. He is going on to form a private sector company that offers consulting work to various factions to help them manage more efficiently and just establish a proper hold over their territory. This is a big political news, I know that much, but it's above my understanding level of pay grade. There's a lot of backstory to this group that I wouldn't be able to do justice even with what little I've read. He is passing a charter of sorts, and I could go over it, but it would take quite a while. Check it out on the subreddit, the Charter of the Northern Congress.
That is some very intense politics going on. Frankly, I'm unprepared for it. I can't understand a single thing of it. I think you're right. This is way above our pay grade. I'm just an intern. I don't even get paid. I don't have a pay grade.
It gets more complicated.
Oh my god.
John Strange was also the leader of House Bolton, one of the larger politically oriented groups in that area.
Okay.
He was going to be he was going to transition leadership over, but that has been postponed following an uncovered intelligence suggesting a Stark plan to annex Bolton territory after his resignation.
Ooh.
So it appears as if their neighbors, the Starks, had planned on taking the decentralized and maybe slightly inefficient transitional period, taking advantage of that, and trying to take over the land.
The intrigue.
Yes, the intrigue. Now there is way more to that situation, and it appears as though they may be heading to war. He is putting House Bolton on a defensive war footing, so they are being very cautious. It appears as though they don't want war, but it may be unavoidable at this point.
Wow. That's a very tense situation, a Cold War of sorts.
Yes.
We may, for things like this, we may need to have actual parties involved in it on the show briefly, at least to get a direct quote from them to sum it up.
Yeah, I want to get at least one person from the server on here at some point.
Ooh.
So if you
We'll
guys
work on that.
If you guys want to be on the show, I'm thinking of trying to get a couple people on for maybe 5-minute spots to explain some things, explain to your group, just brief intros.
Let us know, because we want you on the show, and it means I have to talk less.
Absolutely.
Everybody wins.
Our mouths hurt so bad.
It's all we have, and they hurt.
Now, there are some other going-ons on the server. Let me see this real quick. I think the Vikings are recruiting. Let me just load this real quick. Yeah, they are seeking those Viking enough to go through their trials. They are located in the north, and it appears as if they are issuing a sort of challenge to people who wish to be a Viking.
Interesting. You can't just walk up and say, hey, I think the same things you do. You have to actually prove your worth. I like that.
So that's an interesting one. The monks in the north have given away large amounts of land to both Bolton and NMC.
Ah.
And the remainder of the land appears to have been claimed by... Who claimed it? Huh. It was on here. A third party claims some of the land.
Mm-hmm. Being a monk myself, I understand the lack of a need for material possessions such as land. So, I applaud their move.
Yes. Also, in local business news, the Lock, Stock, and Barrel has new stock. They have they've gotten in rocket launchers. They have gotten they have 2 assault rifles for sale. They have C4. Yeah. Is it just 2 C4? Huh. They have C4 for sale, pump shotguns and revolvers, as well as incendiary pistol bullets.
I'll tell you, Drostin, nothing warms my heart like seeing an arms dealer rise to power.
Nothing.
I love a good underdog story.
Yes. Now there is way more. I'm just gonna read some headlines real quick. The Starks successfully took over ERTC's Northern Territory yesterday. HSU attacks STC, requesting Northern assistance. Let's see, the War Boys took the ERTC's Southern oil fields. That's a fifth war from them. Let's see, New Providence actually collapsed the other day. That's big. I don't know why we didn't start with that.
Wow. It must have fallen into the lake that it was built over. That's sad.
It is sad. It caused the world problems in unpredicted ways. It grew too fast for the world to support, and in the collapse of New Providence, the Church of Adminiology had been formed to explain that doomsday event.
Of course. That's sad to hear, but maybe the world is going to be a better place.
Maybe. It was definitely, honestly, is a first in Rust, in my opinion. It was a massive, beautiful undertaking, and I'm thinking we're going to see more structured towns.
Definitely. Well, is there anything else that we need to cover for factions?
Oh my god, dude, there's way more. But
if you're not noticing the theme yet, there's a consistent theme of we can't fucking cover everything that's going on, and we need your help. Shout out to us, as we said before, on Steam, Reddit, YouTube, Carrier Pigeon, however you want to talk to us, to give us the headlines that are newsworthy and help us cull through the masses of information.
And next week we will have a better structure for this, but there's so much to just get started on. We want a bunch of wars, businesses, and politics into their own separate things, but there's just so much to go over.
Yeah, but we will continue to give you coverage in coming weeks about the goings-on of the Factions server. Great place. So, are we done here?
Yeah, I think that actually just about covers everything. Do you want to give us another song in closing? Maybe another Run Around a Bohemian Rhapsody, or maybe something more original?
Oh, man. I'm gonna pass this week. I'm not feeling very sing-songy this week. Plus, the death toll was way too high last week with my version of Bohemian Rhapsody. I don't think I want to put the world through that again.
Good idea.
Yeah. I'm a humanitarian sometimes.
Everybody's a humanitarian in Rust. It's like a vegetarian, but human.
That's the end of the show, everybody.
We'll end it on a cannibal joke. Everybody, y'all have a good day.